August 7th, 2020. How many ways to get what you want? This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast talking about SmackDown. Tonight on SmackDown on Fox. What did we see tonight? It was a swerve, Justin. We opened thinking it was going to be all about The Fiend and Alexa. We got a little of that. A little bit. We got to see Braun. Braun apparently zooming in on like a poor internet connection.
Or he's using a flip phone where he downloaded Zoom on a flip phone.
Something. And I was thinking, okay, kind of a lackluster night. But then that ending. Retribution. So much to unpack here. It's just me, Glenn Rubenstein, and Justin LaBar tonight. Matt Morgan should be thanking his lucky stars. He doesn't have to try and unpack that ending. Raj Giri, other plans.
I know what Matt's doing. Matt is celebrating today. Matt is actually having probably a nice gathering and a celebration, socially distant and safe, because today, folks, on this day in history, in 2007, was when Matt Morgan first appeared on TNA Impact. That is a Matt Morgan stat for you right now. I bet you Matt Morgan doesn't even know that.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. I had it already in the, I had it in the chamber to fire at him tonight, and he's not here. So
Raj is somewhere drinking a mojito, listening to Blinding Lights.
He's sitting next to the 18th green, and they're all puffing cigars. And
well, it's Colorado, so maybe more than that.
True. They're all doing this podcast, and I'm making the money for it.
So I'm trying to figure out who's in Retribution. There's got to be clues. You could see facial features beneath the masks. I mean, This is the biggest story of the night.
Obviously. So here's the thing: that everything trickles down from the answer to this question. Were the guys and girls who physically were under the masks and hoodies, if those are the actual talents that are going to eventually be unmasked and revealed, then I have some serious questions, because they were not very big in stature. Not that you have to all be big in stature, but I was just looking like, this doesn't look like a very, just physically an intimidating group. One person that I caught a glimpse of, and it's because I'm very familiar with this person, because I've ridden in cars for hours with them. One of them that looked like they were under the mask is the man who is known as in NXT as Joaquin Wild, and he's currently in the little trio. Formerly DJZ, Shima Zion, Zima Ion, and a few times I was like, is that Shima? Which I don't think that he would be one, because he just got revealed to be one of the members of that trio that we have in NXT. So that's what led me to believe, are these just bodies that are standing in as the menaces, but obviously they haven't been revealed yet. So. Because by my understanding of the stable that we've been hearing about was one of two things. One idea, well, actually, I think Nick Hausman first put out there, which maybe has something to it. But it was one of two things. One, the original one that I heard, which was Retribution, it's supposed to be some members of the roster currently who are going to cause anarchy and want to change in the environment or whatever. So I'm thinking, okay, it's members of the current Raw SmackDown roster. But there wasn't a lot of, I couldn't get a lot of pull of like, oh, that's a Raw or SmackDown superstar, or if it is, it's not somebody prominent. The other one I heard, because of the name Retribution, this is Hausman. Hausman had suggested, well, maybe it's going to be at least have some guys or girls who were part of the mass release of talents back in April, and I was like, well, I guess maybe, but that all depends. If the men and women that were out there tonight are the actual physical bodies, I'm not so sure what this is going to turn out to be. If they still are going to all of a sudden, one night have these guys and girls out there causing chaos, and somebody rips a mask off, and it's, I don't know, pick notable mid-carder. I don't know,
Yeah, I'm looking at who was released, and this just doesn't make sense. So the only women that were released: Sarah Logan, Maria Kanellis, and Deonna Purrazzo. I'm pretty safe to say, unless Sarah Logan's pregnancy announcement was a huge misdirect.
And Maria's also. Was she pregnant, or she just had a baby?
She just had a baby. Although who knows? Her and Mike so in love, they could be working on number 3.
And Deanna's with Impact, right? I believe so. I don't know. This again. It really goes back to this. Chainsaws. Okay, that was something we don't see often of, and cutting the ropes. I'd never seen that of. Everybody who had spray paint other than red looked stupid. The red was the only spray paint that was showing up and even looked of anything.
We'll discuss in a second. These were not the cool anarchists the Seattle WTO protest. This was not. This was not the Purge. This was. This was kind of like the WWE Walmart version of Anarchy we saw here tonight, where they had the matching black hoodies and ski masks.
Yeah. I'm just looking at them like none of them look to be above 5'10", which I hate to be, but that matters to me. Like, I mean, I don't know. They don't all have to be giants, but like somebody's got to be a muscle in this group. I don't know. It looked very.
So let's go through it. Let's go through it because it'll dispel who it's not. Right. Okay. So Rusev, number one.
Again, if these people are supposed to be the ones on mask, who's to say that these are the stand-ins, and then when it comes time on the big reveal night that Rusev is dressed in the black and pulls, but this is kind of risky for them to do as many close-ups and things that they did tonight.
Because you could freeze frame in this. I mean, I was able to make out some features there. Okay, so but Rusev, I'm just going to say that if Rusev for some reason was coming back, this is way beneath Rusev. Like Rusev is a single star. Yeah. Maybe if this was just him, Lana and Aiden reunited, I could see that. But this seems beneath Rusev. He is too big for this. Unless these are the
frontline soldiers, unless the Rusevs and the generals were just sent these minions to do their bidding.
Okay, so Drake Maverick back under contract was not suspiciously absent this week with Fandango and Breeze.
He could have been one of them.
He could have been, but again, why though?
I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Gallows Anderson at Impact. No. Here's a name here's one that fits the physical size and what we saw tonight, Lio Rush.
Yeah, that was the other thing. They didn't wear gloves, so you could see skin color.
And Lio Rush would be about the size and stature of. I would have to go back and check, but
at least one of them. Yeah,
it's possible. Lio also, let me just say, Lio would be fantastic as the mouthpiece for a group like this, especially given if they could play off of his real life grievances and heat that he had backstage.
Yeah, I mean, this. Again, it's one thing when you have fuzzy security footage. You can let any trainee stand in to be that, but so this is I don't know.
Yeah, Caden's pointing out Lio said he's done. Of course, that's what he would say.
Well, Rusev said he's done. He said he's going to be your favorite Twitch content creator. Do you actually? Lio might be. I could potentially believe that. I don't know, or at least I could see Lio taking some time. But Miro, Rusev, whatever you call him, he's not done.
For the sake of this being a good storyline, I think Lio, from a character point of view and storyline point of view, Lio could elevate this, bring some real life heat behind it, and make it good. I'm just going to put out there that if Leo's involved with this, I'm more optimistic about where it's all going.
What if one was Leo? What if one was Enzo? Now I know Enzo was just on Busted Open Radio, and he said, and I could see it because he's so much of a crowd guy. He said he doesn't see himself popping up in wrestling until there's crowds again. But once again, that's what you would maybe say if you wanted to swerve a return you're about to have. But I don't know. I mean, it's probably not Enzo. I'm just trying to have fun fodder here to.
I mean, I'd have to go back and hear the voices because Enzo's real voice sounds much different than Enzo's persona voice.
Yeah, it does.
Like it's creepy the first time you hear him talk in his real voice.
Right.
You're like, who is this guy? Justin Lopez, $2 super chat saying Nexus did it better. It did feel like an attempt to recreate.
Oh yeah, I mean Nexus truly did come in and do some things that we hadn't seen since the NWO in terms of the mass destruction by a large number of people. And Nexus came out of nowhere. This we've been waiting. There's been teases, the lights, and all this stuff. I mean, Nexus literally these guys that just came out of nowhere, and then hell, Daniel Bryan got fired over it because he choked Justin Roberts with his necktie. So yeah,
Justin also saying, guys, I felt like those looked like extras to throw us off. See, that even seems weird to me too, because they did look kind of goofy tonight. Like, why, if you're trying to launch this big story, and this is supposed to be the big thing, right? This is going to turn around the ratings. This in Raw Underground. We're putting all the chips on this for our future. Like, why send in extras?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If you're going to even though they chased away the ringside camera people who would traditionally get more of the close-ups, there were still angles. They were still from the jib cam and the other hard cam. There were still angles of where you were seeing more. And again, they gave them ski masks where eyes and lips and features can come out. So yeah, why would you? I mean, if you were going to put extras in there, I would put them in even more, have more gloves, conceal everything possible.
And I wouldn't just hire some PC people and say, hey, put on this hoodie and go in there and tear shit up. I would actually say, like, let's get some of the Universal stunt show performers. Let's get people with good movement work that look really badass. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Leon's a Duncan $5 saying, how does SmackDown have the same storyline as Raw with the same group, but yet it comes across way better than it did Monday? I disagree. I thought less is more, and they looked cooler in the parking lot Monday throwing the Molotov cocktail. Tonight was too much.
I agree. Yeah, the mystery was better on Monday. The only thing I could think of, to answer my question of why would you do it this way is, and we'll talk about this when we talk overall SmackDown. It's been no secret that with SmackDown and the tapings they've been doing, they've been working with an abbreviated roster for one reason or another. A lot of most of us speculating it's talents dealing with health precautions, whether they tested positive or whether they're being safe. So the only thing I can think is that if because we kept hearing that WWE management and creative was keeping who's going to be in the stable close to the vest. The only thing I can think is that if the people that they do want to be in this stable, if they couldn't get those people available, if they weren't able to be for this taping, and obviously they've been on weird schedules trying to get these tapings done, that's the only thing I can think is they say, okay, we're not going to have this be revealed until after SummerSlam, when we know we'll have these 5 talents, but we don't have them tonight, but we need physical bodies out there, so we're gonna send some trainees. I don't know. That's the only reason I could figure of why they would have done it this way. But again, there had to be there was taller trainees in the crowd that they could have dressed up than the 5 they decided to go with here.
Shockmaster saying all were under 6 feet. It took Tula to lift the announcer desk. They attacked a woman, which is cringe if it's a man. They were constantly tugging in their hair. Shockmaster thinks it's an all-female group. There were definitely women in the group. I don't know if it was all women, just based on the way they were carrying themselves, but I wouldn't be surprised. Other people speculating in the chat. Oh, let's go back. I want to give you credit for this. Michael the Virus saying Evolve talent invading WWE. That would be Evolve is no ECW in terms of recognition from the average fan.
Yeah, that's not if the goal on Monday Night Raw and Friday SmackDown is to move the needle of getting some. No, that's not going to do it. I'm sorry.
Bit Milligan saying, I bet one of those people was Sami Zayn. I think if this faction were Sami and Leo, Jacob Manley, Super Chat saying the same thing. If Sami Zayn was involved in this, again, I have much higher hopes.
That again would be one of the situations where Sami was not one of the ones out there, because I think he was one of the first from all this to say, I'm not hanging around and
maybe that's the swerve.
Okay, yeah,
maybe
true.
Maybe Sami is like COVID's a myth, and don't get vaccinated and wear your tinfoil hat, and the fluoride in the water is there for mind control. Maybe Sami's got us all fooled.
That would be the biggest swerve, bro.
He's hanging out with AJ Styles, talking about how the Earth's flat. Joey adores
AJ a flat earther.
Oh, AJ is definitely a flat earther. Don't you remember that Talking Smack where Daniel Bryan gave him a hard time about it? AJ's in like the Flat Earth documentary.
No, that can't be real.
No, AJ's like legit a flat earther. His exact quote is, I'm not saying the earth is flat, I'm just saying there are some valid points and some questions. Go back and watch that Talking Smack. It's a very uncomfortable exchange he had with Daniel Bryan.
I didn't actually know that there's real flat earthers out there. Like, that's a real thing.
I think Dolph Ziggler might be one as well.
Oh. That's more mind-blowing than Retribution.
Yes. Joey Adorshan, $5, saying, why is it if AEW did this angle, everyone goes crazy, but when WWE does it, it looks too clean and overproduced? People destroying Sue's van. Private Party. No, not Private Party. Santana and Ortiz, Proud and Powerful. Destroying Sue's van looked cooler. Presentation's a lot of it. They held on this for way, 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 way too long tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, there was. I mean, they gave them like I may have to go back. I don't think that, but it felt like probably they gave him at least 4 minutes of TV time, and 4 minutes is a long time just to watch the same thing over and over, which is 5 people just chasing everybody off, and again trying to spray paint things. And I mean, again, the chainsaw was cool because chainsaw is not an overdone gimmick in it's not an overdone gimmick in pro wrestling, especially cutting the ropes, But yeah, I don't know. It was just there's a poor presentation. It was just not, like Len noted earlier. It was too, the Monday's presentation was better because it was a lot more of just, you knew somebody was there, but we didn't see him. It was that horror movie effect.
Yeah, I mean, it's a misfire for something that they're trying to make a big deal. Matthew Pierce, $4.99, saying this group is going to be terrible. Pat McAfee angle seems fun.
It does seem fun.
Yes. And Justin Lopez, $5. There's speculation one of the females is Vanessa Bourne because of the curly hair we saw.
Oh yeah, she does have because we did at one point the female's hair had popped and she had to pull her hood back up, and her hair is kind of like. If you've seen Vanessa Bourne, then yeah, that's exactly what her hair. So, but she's not real well. I mean, she's been on NXT, but she's not like. If she pulled a mask off, there would be a lot of like, who is that? And I don't know if that's what. Again, I don't know if that's what they're going for. That just didn't seem like that would be what this group is all about as hoods come up. But then again, maybe it's the case of we've been held down, we've been held back, and now you're going to know who we are. It's all a matter of, I guess, what they're going for. But she's also somebody, again, that could be, in my original theory, just we're putting you in a hoodie, putting you in a mask. You're going to be the stand-in for tonight. You're not going to be part of the actual reveal once that time comes.
So breaking news, at least as of 3 weeks ago, AJ Styles felt the need to clarify on Twitch about his views on the Earth being flat.
Okay.
And he said, the whole flat Earth thing, there's some interesting things that come up. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. It was never, it's flat, you're going to fall. It's never been like that. Just because it said it's interesting, I'm now a flat earther. Here's the thing about theories. There's some interesting things. And that's when I go, well, have you ever heard this? There's a lot of interesting theories. JFK, 9/11, that's interesting, So he's flat Earth curious?
Flat Earth curious. I like it.
Yes. But watch the Talking Smack thing, because
right. Daniel
Bryan really got under his skin with it.
I probably saw that Talking Smack, but I probably just assumed that it was they were just working with each other. They're just having like an inside joke.
I know Daniel Bryan was in a terrible depression and really hated doing it, but he was gold for that. However long Talking Smack lasted, he was fantastic. That's probably still my favorite thing Daniel Bryan has ever done. And I really like his wrestling career, but him on Talking Smack, just not caring, was fantastic television.
That was good stuff.
Yes.
Of course, it's not there anymore.
Terry Allen Jr., Raquel and Dakota partnership ended, ?
Did they, is that a thing on the storyline? Are they not together?
I don't know. I mean,
we didn't see Raquel this past Wednesday, did we?
I don't remember.
I don't think so. Wednesday seems like an eternity.
It really does. It really, really does.
Well, it's because Wednesday, and obviously it's late, and then Thursday. I mean, just for wrestling, never mind the rest of the life. Thursday doing the Wrestling Daily with Nick, and then this morning I'm doing Busted Open, and then this night. So it's that just feels like a million podcasts ago.
Yes. So let's keep going on the list to eliminate people. It's not EC3. It's not Zack Ryder. Maybe Kurt Hawkins. Not Heath Slater. Eric Young. I mean, no, isn't Eric back on Impact now?
We assume that he's there for the long term, but I guess we don't know. It could have been just a one-off appearance.
Why would you bring Eric back to do something that's like a lesser version of Sanity?
Right.
Yeah. Aiden English, maybe.
He's tall though. Again, he could be part of the reveal, but it was not him out there because Aiden English is a pretty tall, lengthy dude.
Sarah Logan's with child, allegedly, so probably not her. Eric Rowan, we can rule out. Eric Rowan, if he's in the group, he was not there tonight.
No.
Here we go. The masterminds behind Retribution, Primo and Epico.
The masterminds. I don't know about masterminds, but I don't know how. I mean, I think they're not the shortest bunch, but they're not. It could have been. It could have been because
Mike and Maria Kanellis. We're pretty sure it's not, but Primo and Epico maybe.
Maybe. I mean,
wait. Here we go. He likes to have a good time. He likes to travel in groups. No way, Jose. Huh? The conga line.
The conga line
got political.
Yeah, right.
They joined a Facebook group. They're woke now, and they're there to F shit up on SmackDown.
I feel like recently he just said too that he has like a new character, a new gimmick name for the wrestling world. But even No Way Jose is not a short guy. I think I stood near him. I mean, I'm 6 foot. I think he was as tall, if not taller than me. And again, nobody out there looked like 6 foot. So, and I'm not saying 6 foot. I'm not saying 6 foot's overly tall. I was just using it as my reference.
Yeah. So we mentioned Deanna. Probably not Kurt Angle. Seem a little.
No. I love Kurt, and I would say this to his face. Kurt would not be moving that fast.
Okay, well, here's another option. I mean, there were also the developmental talents that were released, but if they're expecting, I'm just looking at these names, and if they're expecting any of these guys and gals to get a pop, like, that ain't happening. I mean, maybe Cassius Ohno, but
no, Ono wasn't. Ono's a big dude himself.
Yeah. I mean, if Tanara Conti was part of this group. Actually, no, wasn't she on AEW?
She's on AEW, yeah.
So is Tino Sabatelli. So I don't know. So you're right. But even when I say these names, not a lot of them. Again, Leo's probably the hottest.
Yeah. Again, like I said, one of them when I caught, and maybe I'll try to go back and screen grab and I'll tweet it tonight or tomorrow. One of them, like I said, I called it. I was like, man, it looks like, I call him Sheamus. It looks like Sheamus. It looks like Joaquin Wilde. And again, he just did a reveal storyline on NXT. So that's why I was like, all right, maybe these are just people they need standing in that can follow cues and follow cues and direction, but they're not going to be the actual people. That's what I got to hope for, because otherwise we were just going through this. Nothing makes any, I mean, or they're going the route where it is going to be unknowns, or not unknowns, but it's going to be people that want to be known, that feel that they haven't been given enough attention. But that was basically Nexus, right? It was and to an extent, Nexus got some people, got Wade Barrett over, got some people over, but I don't know.
I'm seeing people guessing. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, as we said, I did not get a good Nexus 5 out of this.
I'm seeing people guessing Ciampa, Carmella. The people are going to analyze this like the Zapruder tapes. Just go back frame by frame. Try and figure out the mystery. It's like Who Shot Mr. Burns all over again. So as far as Dakota and Raquel, Terry Allen Jr., $2 super chat says, many weeks I noticed her absence. Seems yes that they've split up. Matthew Pierce, if it were you, who would you start a stable with today? 4 people max.
Jeez. I mean, it's not bad what they're doing with the Hurt business. I mean,
it's okay.
I get it. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure. I think there was probably some truth to it, that maybe there was consideration to let it be a new version of the Nation of Domination. I don't like that. I don't like that we always have to make it about a race thing, that we're putting all the black talents together. I don't know, but I don't know. It's so hard. Stables are such a delicate thing. It really has to. Stables might be the biggest ride or die, one of the biggest ride or die booking decisions in pro wrestling, because if they work, man, they can be legendary, and but they can so easily fizzle out. There's been so many. You guys remember the Union? Remember Big Show, Mick Foley, Tess, and I think Shamrock carrying around 2x4s, and they were the Union for like 4 weeks. And there could be so many just bad, just random. You think, all 4 of these people, but no, there can be bad stables. So stables are a funny thing to go back through and look at in the history of pro wrestling.
I think Ricochet with an entourage would be really good. You get, because it would elevate him, right? But it would be like Undisputed Era, where there's like Adam Cole and the backing band. I think with Ricochet, you could build something around him really well and have it work, but it would take the right guys. Aleister Black, I think, he should be the anti-Messiah, and there should be like a dark stable. And I think Buddy Murphy should turn. He looks so much like Aleister Black. I think he would be a good second to him.
Well, the fact that he looks so much like Aleister Black, I don't know if I'd want that.
Yeah, but I think it could kind of work, though. I don't know. Eddie Omang, $4.99. What's your top wrestling finisher of all time?
Whoa, good question. So finishers are big. I mean, it's got to be, I'm very much of the belief it's got to be a finisher that you can do to almost everybody. It can't be something that you can't do to half of the roster, or that even takes, I mean, it's got to be something that you can do to everybody.
Scotty Too Hotty in the Worm.
You can do that to everybody. Yes.
That was over for like a
good
week.
Dude, I was in a 6-man tag match that involved Scotty Too Hotty a couple years ago. And so I was there firsthand. I did not get the worm done to me, but I was laying in the ring, like catty corner from the person who was getting it, man. And this was in a probably 800-900 people packed in this gym, man. And one of the biggest pops I'd ever heard. I mean, it still gets over if people know who he is. Finishers. As crazy as it sounds, like the mandible claw was one that fit so well with Mankind, and how sadistic it was, and it was so new, like just shoving fingers down the throat. And again, you can do that to everybody, and all the options of how to sell it. That's why I was all great with the Fiend kind of taking that too. This one you can't necessarily do it to everyone, and it has a big setup time, but probably one of the most impressive finishers I ever saw. And I still remember the first time I saw it. It was on Velocity against Shofunaki, and I remember the live crowd had this giant gasp, and for the year 2005 or 2006 to get a huge gasp when you think you've seen most everything you can see, Mr. Kennedy doing his Lambo leap from the middle or top rope, and it's basically got him up on a fireman's carry like John Cena's finisher, but just did a full leap forward and lands on. I mean, I remember, again, I all the detail. I remember all the details about the show and who it was against, because I was like, that's so impressive. Again, can't do that to everybody, but
that's the thing. It's like I think the most impressive move, Sami Zayn, the rolling Yoshitonic, where he does a full 360. I don't understand why that wasn't his finisher. That's like the Helluva Kick is like his third most impressive move. Even the sit up Thunder Power Bomb looks better than the Helluva Kick. But I'm going to say that lately, I think End of Days is actually really underrated. I think that's a very, very good finishing move. And here's one we don't talk about anymore, but I swear to God, when I got back into wrestling and NXT blew my mind, and I think was so impressive, I think the coup de grace, just because we don't see people do that. That looks like the most legitimately devastating move, and it still blows my mind that Finn can do that without hurting someone or causing any sort of damage.
Yeah, I mean, it does look good. You're right. I mean, it's as long as the guys get. I mean, it's usually if he hits it well and the illusion and the camera's right, I mean, he can just hit him on their arm when he comes down.
See, I thought it was that he's actually landing all of his weights on his butt when he's coming down, so his feet touching the person isn't where the impact point is.
It might be. I've seen versions where the way the guys protect themselves is similar to how if you're on your back and somebody's going to splash on you, you have your arms here to let your arms absorb the impact. I've seen sometimes where that's what it is, where Finn's feet, they absorb the arms of the person taking it, absorbed it there. But it could be different ways of how it's going. But no, that's a good one. I mean, Seth Rollins I know it got banned for a little bit, but I mean the curb stomp, it looks effective. I mean, never mind the connotation of it or history of it or whatever like that, but I mean, it looks painful. Again, you can do it to anybody. Orton has turned the RKO into, I mean, Orton's turned the RKO into things of mainstream attention, RKO out of nowhere, and the memes and the gifs and everything. So I think there's something to be said for that.
Steve Marcucci, Buck99, saying, how about Davey Boy Smith Jr. at some point?
I think we are due to see him back in the WWE world eventually. I think the COVID might have put a delay on maybe original plans, but I definitely could see, especially with NXT UK, I could definitely see them using a guy like him in NXT UK again. NXT UK obviously has been shut down since the pandemic, so
Retribution, they didn't sound British, but NXT UK would be a solid guess for where all that talent was from. Tevin Brinkley, thank you for the $1 super chat. No comment, just here's $1.
Thanks, Tevin.
Raj Giri, thanks you. And yes, we're going to get to the rest of the SmackDown. Tevin Brinkley also saying with a $2 super chat, it's either NXT rechecks or AEW invading. Okay, so hear me out on this. If it was Evolve, it would be interesting for them to sell Evolve as sort of like an indie, almost an indie other, like basically to take everything to project and make it seem like it's AEW, like it's that indie-rific promotion with all the small guys doing the flippy shit. They're here to take over. I could see them, but again, that's almost giving their competition too much credit.
I just think if you're going to do an Evolve, if you're going to have an Evolve evasion, I feel like that's something you would have done earlier when Evolve still had names that the wrestling world was really. I don't know. I know. That just seems.
Louis 13 saying the torture rack is his finisher.
No, I don't like the torture.
Okay, so let's talk about SmackDown. So it's good that we're talking about Retribution, or else we'll be talking about how disappointed I was by this, because man, they built up Bray and Alexa. We were all talking about on Twitter, the Firefly Funhouse. Oh, the Fiend's going to make an appearance later. Bray, I got someone that matters to you. Love the opening. Very disappointed by how they paid it off later in the show. I was so looking forward. Even think about last week, we were talking about Alexa's a big fan of horror movies. Bray's a big fan of horror movies. What magic would they create together? They did not.
Well,
really
look, we still have 2 more SmackDowns until before SummerSlam. Look, quite frankly, I mean, like, I was surprised to see that it was in the middle of the show. It was at the turn of the second hour, but it makes sense because that would have been a disappointing ending to have the show go off on us with what they did. I was okay. Like, little things. Alexa, she's in the same outfit she was last week. So that's
I thought it was a replay at first. Yeah,
they keep up with the she's been abducted essentially. It was weird that the Fiend comes out and then we come back from commercial and then Alexa's out there. Like, where did he pull her out from? I would have thought that he would have been like dragging her or had. I just figured she would have came out with him. But so that was a head scratcher. But no, I mean, this is okay. Again, it kind of leaves more for, like, obviously they go off the air, so he still has Alexa. So we'll see what we get next week. The match gets made officially. I don't know. I mean, I was okay with this. I mean, I was okay with it. I like the very beginning when we see Bray in the Firefly Funhouse. He's got, rather than having all the pictures of the other victims, now it's all just pictures of Braun with the title. I thought that was a nice little touch of the obsession that's going on. I don't know. I was okay with I was okay with what they gave us. And then, like, Alexa kind of, she played into it with her little, with her hand up at the Fiend, and I think Alexa's been, I think radio silent on social media if I saw correctly. So that's nice that she's actually like trying to keep up with this and not show herself out at the beach or something like that when she's supposed to be trapped in the Firefly Funhouse world.
True. Matt Riddle versus Sheamus tonight. Interfered by Shorty G. This is why we can't have nice things. Causing a DQ. Attacking Matt Riddle.
Yeah, this is a good match. This is a two big guys, relatively speaking, physical. I mean, this is the kind of match that, like, this is one of those things when I think about Matt Riddle, I think about, I'd love to see him, I think about opponents I like to see him with, and this is certainly one. So this is a good hard-hitting match. 2 guys that are going to lay it in. They're going to make it look good. They're going to give it to each other. Disappointing you get a DQ, but I kind of figured that. It's like, they're real. Sheamus has been back. They're building up with Sheamus to certain points. I didn't think they'd have him get pinned, but obviously you don't really necessarily need to pin Riddle. So I kind of figured there'd be some shenanigans with Shorty G or Corbin. But yeah, a good opening match. It's definitely, I was had my attention to open the show up with this.
Yeah, I thought it was strong. Sheamus's matchup graphic now in the tank top and the 1930s fighter. Yeah, I mean, he looks like he's like from a Final Fight prequel.
He looks like he's from like Oh Brother Where Art Thou. He should be.
I dig it.
That's my fiance, and he should be fighting George.
No, he was just working on the docks, and now he showed up to fight. I think Sheamus. Like, this was a placeholder night with Riddle, obviously, given what they're building up with him and Corbin. But Sheamus, man, like, Sheamus has got the look. I think the Jeff Hardy story was uncomfortable for a lot of reasons, like we talked about, and didn't really hit. Or I guess it hit depending on how cool you were with that subject matter. But I think Sheamus is primed for something big right now. I'm looking forward to what he does next.
Yeah, I found some irony in the commentator selling Sheamus not liking Matt Riddle and thinking Matt Riddle's you come in, too much attention, too much steam, and guys like Sheamus have been overlooked. When if you think about it, it was 2009. Sheamus has just gotten to the main roster after being on, just gotten the main roster, and like literally within like a month, won the world title by beating John Cena on a pay-per-view in a tables match. I'm like, well, that's kind of ironic because like that was one of the fastest rises to the world title, at WWE had ever done. So I just got a little kick out of that, being what they were trying to sell at the start of the match is Sheamus's problem with Matt Riddle.
I thought he looked great tonight. I thought this match was good. I think Shorty G interfering. Shorty G, I mean, maybe, because the name, right? You pay attention to the name. Last week, certainly paying attention to his segments with Corbin. Shorty G, when you look at physically where he's at, the condition that he's in, and remember the fact that this guy is one of the best technical wrestlers that they have in the roster. I think this kid's future is looking bright right now.
A Shorty G versus Matt, like Shorty G in the role he's in is like being like little minion of Baron Corbin. I don't know what kind of match they would lay out with him and Matt Riddle, if it would just be like, Shorty G just ridiculously being too short to like pull things off with Matt Riddle. But like if they actually let Chad Gable have a match with Matt Riddle, that would be some phenomenal stuff because of what they would be able to do and what they're both capable of.
You have the technical wrestling versus the MMA. That legitimately could be a pay-per-view show-stealing match. I don't think they're going to give them that opportunity, but I really hope they do.
Yeah.
So after that, it descended into chaos.
It really, if you look at SmackDown tonight, there's basically three stories that it was just a lot of interweaving of, as we'll get to here, like Shorty G, Corbin, Sheamus, Matt Riddle, they all just kept intersecting with each other all night. That's what this,
Yeah, and I like that backstage, Sheamus blowing up at Corbin, Sheamus attacking Shorty G at the end of the match. And then Miz and Morrison tonight interviewing Mandy Rose's hair. This
was the stupidest thing I've ever seen on WWE television.
It would have been better if they would have stopped showing Miz and Morrison doing the voice. If they would have treated it seriously and sold the joke. It was the fact they kept showing them that made it lame. It was googly eyes on a blonde wig for people that didn't watch. Justin, this is the stupidest thing you've seen. This is where Justin hits his point of disgust.
I just was sitting there and I'm just like, my 5-year-old daughter, one of the favorite things right now in entertainment to her is Toy Story 4 that came out, and her and my son, who's younger, they love Forky. And for those of you that don't know what Forky is a new toy in the Toy Story franchise. He's a spork with those googly eyes. Yes. That's and red yarn as his arms and popsicle sticks as his feet. It's so stupid, but it's funny in a toy because a kindergarten kid would create that as a toy, and that's the whole context on Toy Story 4. I'm looking at this mop of hair with googly eyes, and I'm like, this is as stupid as Forky, but Forky doesn't belong in this. Like, I just was so I was like, thank God nobody else is in the house other than my family. Because I'd be so embarrassed if somebody walked in that room right now and be like, what the hell is this? You're gonna go to a podcast talking about this?
Tonight was probably, and I'm not saying I hated tonight, and I generally like SmackDown more than Raw, but tonight's one that I'm glad no one caught me watching this tonight. There are probably some other things. I'd rather be watching High School Musical than this tonight. Could have explained that easier and be like, well, some of those, Get Your Head in the Game is a banger of a song, at least. I could defend that. But tonight, there was some stupid shit.
Yeah, I just... And then you get into other things like a nitpick. Like you nitpick and don't like them showing Miz and Morrison doing the voice. I don't like that. Obviously, it's some video they pre-recorded of having the hair and the googly eyes like alternate between like act like it's talking and then not. And there would be times where they would keep showing the hair not moving, so it doesn't look like it's talking, and they're still talking. I was like, no, you don't. Just the whole thing looks stupid. I felt bad that Sonya Deville had to then come out because she looked and sounded great when she eventually comes out. But I feel so bad for her having to stand behind the curtain and wait to come out and follow
the wig.
Follow the wig with googly eyes. Yeah.
Leanza Duncan, $2. I thought it was like Friends corny, but it worked. But that was my point though, is if they hadn't shown them doing the voice, I think they need to treat it. It was like them almost saying like, look at the stupid funny thing we're doing. Isn't it funny how we're showing you how stupid and funny it is? Like it was too many layers. Azelle Pampa saying, do you guys notice how often you say, I'm glad nobody saw me watching this?
We don't mind coming on here in front of you guys, because you guys
know.
You guys are right there with us, you know? I mean,
this is like hentai fans showing up at a hentai fan club. They're like, hey, we're all into this shit. You know. But no, for us,
it's like the furries convention.
Yes. And they don't have to see each other's faces.
They can hide.
They can hide behind the mask. We can't hide behind anything here. But that being said, Sonya Deville looked like $1 million coming out there in a suit. Love the way they're building this. I think it's going to be a 3-on-3 match at SummerSlam. I think it's going to be Heavy Machinery and Miz and Morrison with Mandy and Sonya involved as well. And of course, this ended with Heavy Machinery coming out and getting into it with Miz and Morrison. But yeah, I think Sonya, I hope, is going to be the superstar that emerges from this feud, because I think it's finally her time.
Yeah, I think we're all of us that are on this podcast are huge fans of hers. I think Mandy, you know, Mandy's continues to get better in the ring when we do see her in matches. The fire that's behind this with her and Sonya, which we'll get to that part of it later, is good. Obviously, Mandy looks like $1 million. You can certainly see them from the sex appeal standpoint, putting a lot of their eggs in her basket long term. You know, Otis, obviously, I think is, you know, I like Otis. It's nice to see Tucker getting screen time again. He's back then there. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to come out of this. And then Miz and Morrison, especially, you know, they're good in the ring. Like they're good in the ring. They're a good tag team. Like there's a lot of good about all the players that are in this story. But it was just like, and I usually, again, and I know I get criticized for it sometimes. I'll give WWE more patience maybe than the average person. And I'm usually the first one to say, give it time, let things unfold. It's a story. Let's let week to week go. But I'm just sitting there watching the googly-eyed hair, and I'm going, I got nothing for this one. This is just bowling shoe ugly, as Jim Ross would say.
This will be good for Sonya in the long run.
Yes.
So Cesaro versus Lince Dorado.
Love it. Lince,
yeah, this was great.
I love Lince Dorado. Is my dude. He's him. Grand Metalik's great too, but I love Lince. I'm a big fan of Cesaro. I could watch them have a match every single week. In fact, really between Cesaro, Nakamura, Grand Metalik, and Dorado, I would watch any combination of the four having a match every week. And there's just things you see, and I could say this all the time about a Cesaro match, but then Lince does some awesome offense. But things that Cesaro does that, like, he makes it literally is the definition of he makes it look easy. But if you actually stop and really just take a minute to absorb what he physically just did when he catches a guy in midair, and the momentum without stopping that he keeps motion and transitions into other moves and other slams, and he's doing it with a grown man. I mean, the feats of strength and agility and everything that Cesaro can do, and then coupling it with a guy like Lince, this is a lot of fun. So if you did not see SmackDown and are trying to figure out what to watch based upon Glenn and I, take a moment to watch this match. There's no stakes or anything for it.
Yeah, that's the issue with it, right? I mean, I think they're keeping up with Lucha House Party versus Cesaro and Nakamura, but this was just a fantastic match. It left you wanting more. It was really good. I think given everything going on with Lucha House Party, I mean, they're used, but I don't feel like they're taken nearly as seriously as they should be for just being great in-ring competitors.
But you know what? I'm happy that because 205 Live is still around. And 205 Live is it's a very niche thing. You know, I don't know what kind of numbers it gets, but it's just there for the people that really have that bug of that kind of in-ring action. I'm glad that Lince and Grand Metalik were able to be plucked from that and are able, and at least now, or we're seeing our options to be used, especially when it seems like they're working with an abbreviated roster given the times. I'm glad to see that they are not being pegged as they're just 205 Live. I'm glad to see that they are getting to work with everybody else, because that was my number one knock with 205 Live. It's like, you know, the moment that you're on 205 Live where they're pegging it of a weight class, it kind of almost seems improbable to have somebody from 205 Live ever go do anything else with the rest of the roster. But they've seamlessly been able to allow some people to get away from that, and I'm glad Lince and Grand Metalik are getting to do matches with Daniel Bryan, with Cesaro, with Nakamura, et cetera, et cetera.
Have they had any great characters on the show since the era of Neville and Enzo? Because it seems like that was the time when the show was the most character driven.
Yeah, and that was the most. I mean, Gulak I think was on there.
Yeah,
he with the PowerPoints. I think Jack Gallagher shined for a minute. I don't think he's with them anymore. Or
no. I think
was he one of the victims? Oh yeah.
Oh no, I would not use that word to describe.
Not victim. No, I didn't mean that. Yeah, no.
Never mind. Next subject. But I think that
I was going to say victim of the talent cuts, and then I quickly remember no, he was not part of the talent cuts in April.
Let's not use that word to describe Jack Gallagher.
Not a victim.
Let's talk about the Fiend in the ring with the red lights. Alexa Bliss down on the mat. The Fiend with the hand. Is he going to do the claw again? And then she looks up at him, starts stroking the scar on his mask. They have a connection. He's confused. He backs away. Then Braun Strowman appears via a low-speed internet connection.
Well, to be fair, it was dial-up. He had to get the other person off the phone to get on.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was surprisingly blocky looking for something that was being shown on national broadcast television.
He should have gone to Stephanie McMahon's house. Stephanie had superb internet for her drop in later. Yeah, I mean, this was. I think this was the first. I was thinking about this. Somebody in the chat room can fact check me. I think this was the first full entrance of the Fiend in the PC in the pandemic era. We've seen the Fiend pop up, lights out, lights back up, but I don't think we've ever seen like full entrance from stage and everything. With the lasers and everything. That was cool with the plexiglass. The plexiglass actually is adding a lot to some of the entrances. It makes like a tunnel at the entrance. And lights and stuff reflects. Yeah. And
there's that stage effect, the Pepper's Go stage effect, which now is partially, they use a much more updated version of that for all the holographic technology, like hologram Tupac and whatnot. So they're getting like some unintended cool effects where it looks like whatever lights are on the screen are coming out into the audience, creating perspective. Yeah,
in a way, it lets the plexiglass act like a faux LED board. It's just like more things are being projected up on them. So yeah, I mean, we get the Fiend coming out full entrance. Yeah, I mean, overall, everything was a little bit less and shorter than maybe what we thought, but they did what they had to do. We know Alexa's still under the watch of the Fiend, and we got a little hint that maybe she's either having some Stockholm syndrome or she's she's playing with him and she's gonna end up turning on the Fiend. We get the match officially made between the two for SummerSlam, which is great. So
Justin Lopez $5, checking the facts and paying us money. Well, paying Raj money. It was his first full entrance on a Raw or SmackDown, I believe, Justin. I believe before it was just pay-per-view.
Yeah, I guess because even when they had the crowds, when he would show up and attack people with the Fiend, it was always lights go down, and then so first one on the weekly television shows.
So yeah, Braun responded. The Fiend or Braun's coming out of the swamp. Yada yada yada. You don't know about the monster he's unleashed. Whatever. I mean, like, I'm so much more interested in what's going to happen between Bray and Alexa. I really almost don't care about Braun's role in all of this.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. Well, and I think, I guess we'll make our predictions in 2 Fridays from now. But I mean, I got to think that the Fiend beats Braun, right? I mean, first off, they've unfortunately had the Fiend get beat before, and then they quickly try to get away from that. But Braun was never supposed to be champion in the first place. He was because of the whole the whole change with Roman Reigns and Goldberg. And I mean, I think this is just a perfect way to get the title back right back. I mean, how or why would you have the Fiend even lose here? So,
and I hope Alexa is the one. I hope that's the swerve.
That she screws Braun.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
That
she calls Braun. Your face.
It's Friday night, folks. It's Friday night here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast, and I haven't been drinking. You having an absolute bar over there? Because I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna have a beer before I go on the air. But no, I think Alexa and Bray. I don't want to fantasy book this too much, but this could be so cool if they do it. And I think maybe that's how they do it. They just have her there, intrigued but still scared, and then SummerSlam is where the change happens, and then we get to see some real movement. on this. But yeah, Michael Edwards saying, why else have Braun say she means nothing? There's a lot of ways they can go with this. So Jeff Hardy versus King Baron Corbin with DQ because Sheamus appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean,
decking Hardy.
I think there was. I think this was the second of 3 DQs that we ended up getting. I always critique AEW with sometimes they could use a DQ finish, and then there's WWE who overuses the DQ finish.
Yes, like a DQ blizzard. Sheamus versus Baron Corbin then happened, and this was good. I mean, Corbin, like I said, Corbin doesn't really get kind of the props that a lot of these other guys do. So him against Sheamus, you have to temper your expectations. But for what it was, this worked.
Well, and unusual. You don't often get, you rarely see 2 heels in a match. I mean, it made sense why, like, they were both aggravated each other for, like, getting involved in each other's business, but you don't often see that dynamic, so that's different. No, he's not a babyface.
Sheamus a babyface. Ripper saying that they turned Sheamus. I don't know. He's working at the docks to support his family. They just immigrated to this country. It's the 1930s. We don't have the best attitude about the Irish. He's an underdog.
The Irish, he's a dirty people.
It's like gangs in New York or some other metropolitan area.
I think in The Departed, when the guys from Providence were hassling the guy at the corner store. You opened a shop in an Irish neighborhood. These are dirty people. And then Leo knocks him out. And now you have a problem with the people in Providence.
I don't think people realize that. I feel like they don't. Like, my journey through American history was, I remember in junior high, they start off with Europe, Columbus, then we start through American history. And then I remember I got to high school, it was more world history. But even in American history, like, we seem to stop around the Civil War. I remember there was so much that I didn't know about the early 1900s that I only really learned as an adult. It's interesting. For more information about the Irish and their plight in the early 1900s, visit your local library or go to their website. I think they'll mail you a book now, given the current situation. And I know it too. My family on my mom's side is very, I mean, she is Irish. They did the whole, they've been like genealogy heads back since before Ancestry.com and 23andMe and all that. So I've got a year full of that my whole life.
Then there's me. I'm all German with an adopted French last name. What a combination there.
I mean, they named me Glenn. How Irish is that? So after that match with Sheamus getting the win, Bayley and Sasha were wanted to have a Zoom call with Stephanie. But before we could see that, we saw Big E cutting a promo.
Great promo. It was
good.
You could tell he legitimately was cracking up Caleb Braxton. Yeah, I mean, Big E, he's got the stuff, man. It's it all fits, right? Fiend, who was a heel technically, Fiend takes world title, and if you need a fresh baby face, why not a Big E?
Yeah, I have a feeling they're not gonna really pull the trigger on him until after SummerSlam.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, no, a Big E. Yeah, no, I mean, again, Fiend wins title at SummerSlam, and I don't know if Big E immediately is the next contender, but I could certainly see them like setting him up by the end of this calendar year. Maybe even trying to set him up to be the big challenger, babyface challenger on the road to Mania next year.
It's interesting. Gecko Rob saying though it's a bad promo because he said New Day rocks at the end. It is interesting.
Rob, look, I get what you're saying, but he's been doing interviews about. I mean, he's made social media comments. He's done interviews, and I kind of commend because I mean, like him, I've gotten a chance to interview Kofi and Xavier together in person a few times, which is phenomenal because they are as entertaining as you would imagine them to be. And one of the interviews was at like 6 a.m. in person on a Mania weekend, and they were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 6 a.m. They truly are really just a unit. They are good friends, and I think that like he's probably been very vocal to Vince and management, and I think he's got the pull at this point to say this is what I want to happen, as well as the backing of Kofi, who's the veteran. I think that if as he's get the singles run, he's not going to turn on his guys, on his partners. He's not going to all of a sudden start dressing different and have different music. I think I think it's going to be a big thing for Big E and for the other two, that Big E can have a singles run, meaning, he's going after a singles title, but he's still going to be part of a stable, which I admire that, because one thing that's bothered me, and WWE hasn't really done this much since maybe, like Evolution type of days. Like, they get so stuck on, if you're in a stable, that all those stable members all have to move and have the same feud at the same time. This bothered me with the original Wyatt family, of why they couldn't have Bray Wyatt go after one thing and Harper and whatever. I like the idea of 3 guys can still be associated together and linked together, and music and look and wardrobe, etc. But like, they can have their own storylines, their own people they're trying to deal with. And I think Big E's going to try to keep that. So I don't think he's going to ever stop being part of New Day. I think he just might be a member of New Day who's going after the singles world title.
Perhaps. Well, Stephanie McMahon wants to talk to Sasha and Bayley, and it looks like it's going to be Sasha versus Asuka at SummerSlam. But for Bayley, there's going to be a 3-brand triple threat next week to decide who's going to challenge Bayley for that SmackDown Women's title.
And it's a great thing to say. I have absolutely no idea who it's going to be, and I think it's great that there's so many options we could choose from.
This is where Rhea Ripley makes her comeback.
Maybe.
Nate Monroe, Buck 99, the New Day now breaking up is different and good. It is a different way for them to doing it.
It is. I mean, and they are the group that would be that should defy the normal. Okay, it's time to break them up. Somebody's got the Shield. Somebody had to break the Shield.
Pardon me, Triple Brand Battle Royal. I apologize.
Yeah, Triple Brand Battle Royal. I mean, New Day has been together. They formed in the fall of 2014, and since then they've been baby faces a handful of times, heels a handful of times. I forget how many title runs they've had. That is amazing. That's 6 years. It's almost six whole years. That's an eternity in today's WWE, where there's 2 to 3 live weekly shows and 12 to 14 pay-per-views a year. That's an eternity in the programming that to stay together and to remain fresh. They've had they've had the Budios phase, they've had the trombone Francesca phase, they've had all these different phases that they've been in. They continue to able to reinvent themselves a little bit, just slightly, while still keeping the New Day mold. It's phenomenal. I mean, they already are Hall of Famers. That's phenomenal.
I think for Big E, this is time to shine. I think it's amazing what New Day has done together. And it'll be interesting to see how they evolve it with this. Nyla's boring, $5. They must love when we just read that name every time. Does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Biggest problem for WWE is name a single star under 30 that's the future of the company. I'll name 2, Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair.
Yeah, I mean, Rhea's like 23, I think. Bianca's young, and that is a valid point by that person. Is there are a lot of names where we get
Bianca Belair is 31 years old.
Oh, she is? Okay. I know Rhea's she's like 23. I'm pretty sure Rhea's really young.
I am so terrible at guessing everyone's age, by the way.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of people though that you do come across, and like Keith Lee, like people and these are all people that like I'm not necessarily against, but like Keith Lee's not young. He's pushing his mid to late 30s. You go down the list. There's a lot of guys and even girls that like you see potential for, but they're not. Not to say they're too old, but you feel like they're on the second half of the journey.
Age is so much different now, though. Justin Lopez, $5, saying at this point it looks like New Day will last at least a decade, which is incredible.
See, I don't think age. I think age sometimes can be even more important because the level of expectation that the business has evolved to of some of the crazy things that the fans want some of these talents to do. Darby Allin's a super young guy, but if Darby Allin continues to work the way he works, he is gonna have years taken off of his career.
Yes. Brian Barry, $2.99. Who faces Bayley at SummerSlam? My pick is Rhea Ripley.
If she was still a babyface, I would say Lacey Evans, but they've put her back to being a heel. So,
and it's a battle royal. Rhea Ripley has got to win this thing.
What other baby faces could they? I mean,
Bianca's in the story.
Bianca, right, with Zelina. So
yeah, I'm telling you, Rhea Ripley.
But why would they? But after they've had her lose so much.
Yeah, but remember the last time people saw her was at WrestleMania. Like
Well, yeah,
They're
true.
not gonna-
Whoever faces Bailey doesn't mean that they're going to beat Bailey.
Yeah, and that's why it makes sense, because the last time we saw her on a main roster piece of programming, she was Charlotte's opponent at WrestleMania. I mean, Rhea Ripley would get a bigger pop and more interest than Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, that's true.
Nate Erickson, $9.99. This is for a 5-pack of Mike Windscreen covers for Justin. He sacrificed his for the sake of the podcast. What does Ross do with the super chat money anyway?
That's true. If I know windscreen, if I'm popping my peas, or if a breeze comes through the window over here, it's all because I ripped that damn windscreen off.
True. Bad News Brown saying Naomi. I think Naomi would be great, but why do a cross-brand battle royal to have it be a SmackDown talent? That's where it seems
good point.
Not taking advantage of the opportunity. Name and Roebuck 99. You think Kofi will be in the Hall of Fame twice or just New Day?
Oh, I mean, Kofi as a singles person, he certainly deserves it, especially because, I mean, there's no formal criteria. So, like, Kofi as a singles run, just for longevity alone, you can make a case to put him in one day. He definitely would go in with a New Day, obviously. We have to see in the next 5 years, because they are starting to like run short on names, and to an extent, names that like you truly think that like should be in the Hall of Fame. We'll have to see how liberal they want to get with how many 2-time Hall of Famers they want to have. You know, it's one thing that Ric Flair is a 2-time Hall of Famer, right? Triple H will be a 2-time Hall of Famer because he's got DX, and he'll go in someday as a single star. It'll be interesting. We have to wait and see how crazy they want to get with letting people go in twice. He definitely first will go in with New Day, I would think, absolutely. So
Neo Akira pointing out Raj is Scrooge McDucking it every night with that super chat money. So The Miz and Morrison versus Heavy Machinery, and you stole the show here. Mandy Rose with her sassy new haircut.
She did, but just before, like, the thing I don't like about, they did this last week. I forget who.
Yeah, people
Mandy
that
comes and
attacks
attacks.
the match. Yeah.
Right, Mandy attacks Sonya, who's on the outside, and they call a DQ. Now they wait to call the DQ until they actually get in the ring and start beating each other. But even still, the DQ should not be called unless one of them physically touches somebody active in the match. I don't understand why this, like, this is frustrating.
It's WWE, dude.
Well, but I'm being critical of this because WWE normally looks like they have when you put them side by side, AEW is the one sloppy with the rules and the refereeing, but this aggravates me. It's like, come on. But nonetheless, that aside, yes, Mandy and her new haircut. I mean, she had fire. She looked like she wanted to rip the hair off of Sonya Deville. This was good.
She looks great. And I think I would hope they get a one-on-one match at SummerSlam, but I think it's going to be a six-person match, mixing up with Ms. Morrison and Heavy Machinery.
Yeah, I mean, and not that they couldn't do a singles again, but I mean, they quickly blew their wad with already having them do the singles match weeks and months ago on SmackDown.
I know, but now there's so much more stakes. It seems like. So I'll say this as a kind word. When they showed the promo for Raw Monday and showed the little edit of Raw Underground, it looked a million times cooler the way they promoted it tonight than it did in actuality on Monday. When they had the quick cuts of the matches and it looked like MMA, it made for a better recap than a segment live.
I might have stepped away, or I might have been looking at my computer because I really can't remember how it looked. So I'll have
just
to
fast cuts, lots of ground and pound.
Good.
It's good. But it made me giggle just remembering Monday night. The dancing girls, the awkwardness. We'll see what happens Monday. But then we came back to the ring and Retribution appeared running wild.
Raw Underground felt like something, if you were playing Grand Theft Auto, your car would have crashed into a building. You would have crashed into the Raw Underground warehouse.
So I've been playing Grand Theft Auto Online, which I just gave up to start playing Red Dead Online, which is giving me like trauma from the alligators in the swamp and all the wild animals attacking me. Dude, this is no joke. I don't know if you ever played the first Red Dead, got eaten by coyotes. Like,
no.
Yeah, dude, this shit will like F you up. But Grand Theft Auto Online, the reason I stopped playing it is they want you to like start these businesses I'm like, I got my own business in real life. Why am I doing a video game business to earn virtual currency to have to go and like check on supplies and staffing? But you can start a nightclub and you have to like go and pick up the people from the nightclub and drive them to work. Like I was like, this is more work than my actual business.
So you're telling me you're not playing Roller Coaster Tycoon to run your own amusement park?
No, but in GTA Online, the nightclub, like Raw Underground, absolutely is right out of Grand Theft Auto Online in Los Santos. But let's talk about Retribution. Though speaking, coming in chainsaws, baseball bats, spray paint, attacking the crowd. There was some stuff. I'll have to go back and watch this again. Some people felt very disturbed by some of the violence. Women in the crowd were attacked. They're hoping it was women attacking women and not men. But it didn't look as play fighty, I'll say, as a lot of other WWE interactions look. But then again, like it also didn't look gritty, raw, or real either. This whole thing was awkward, and I think the mystery of who is in Retribution, that's why we spent the first 20 minutes talking about it tonight at the start of the show. The mystery of who is in Retribution is 100 times more interesting than the actual segment we saw tonight.
It is. Yeah, I mean, I'm not offended by anything we saw that they did. So that's teach their own. But yeah, again, it goes back to what we said earlier. It was. You're trying to sell this as like anarchy and they're causing havoc. Don't give them this much time. It was just too. It should have been a quicker cutaway to the show ending. And so you're just like, whoa, I need to see more because by the time I went off the air, I was like, I've seen too much.
Way too much. The Molotov cocktail made a statement Monday night. That was good. Although it was a little corny the way they were jumping and cheering. Like, we did it.
Right.
Punk rock. Anarchy.
It goes again back to what we started the show with. It's all a matter of if these are the physical people that are actually part of the show, I'm not so loving this because based upon process of elimination of who it could be and size and everything, I'm kind of underwhelmed. If this is just supposed to be representing what Retribution stands for, and then we will eventually get the reveal of the true people, okay, I'll try.
I understand if it's a still photo and we just put some schlubs in black hoodies and said, let's take a photo and do that. But to give them 10 minutes or 7 minutes or whatever it was of airtime on nationally televised programming, it would seem like even dumber than something WWE would do to have that be a 7-minute segment. I can understand Monday night in the parking lot being stand-ins, but this tonight seems...
Yeah, I mean the only thing I can ever draw from my personal experience in the pro wrestling business was would be like around 2012ish, 2011 or 2012ish, working for Pro Wrestling Ohio that then became Prime Wrestling. Johnny Gargano, he's our number one guy, he's our main baby face. Johnny was getting attacked for months by a masked man, and obviously for months we just had somebody. A lot of times it was not necessarily a trainee, but just it was somebody that just donned the ski mask, donned the whatever, and came in and did their. But again, it was quick cut run-in stuff, and this was on DirecTV, so it was on television, so we had to be cognizant of cameras. And then eventually, it got revealed. I was actually in the ring for the reveal, which is why I remember the story so prominently. It got revealed as Jimmy Jacobs. And like it was for work because I looked back at it, and Jimmy was whatever height he was, and every person we put under the mask at different shows was comparable to Jimmy's height, and there was no revealing. You could not see skin color, you couldn't see, and there was nothing. So I just think about that, and so I think about that so much tonight, and I'm like, why would they allow so much to be seen of these guys and girls? And so that's why, again, I'm just kind of, and I know that we're being nerds here. I know that. But I know that if I was like to call Bruce Pritchard up right now and let him see this whole thing, he'd be like, Justin, you're focusing on the wrong thing, and maybe we are, but this is what we do. I'm focusing
who's
on
in it is the mystery. Like what they did isn't the cool part. Yeah. Who's behind it? We like to guess him. Now I'm thinking back. For some reason in my head, I have it that in the Scream movies, it was not always the killer who was playing Ghostface in the shots. It'd be a stunt person.
Yes,
might even be different people. Kind of like Norma Bates in the original Psycho. It wasn't always the same person, I believe, that was doing it because they wanted to throw you off a little bit. Because I'm a big Scream nerd, at least for the first three. If my understanding is correct, really the only time the revealed killer was ever in the Scream mask was in the scenes where they then revealed said killer. And then if they were struggling in that scene with Sydney or whoever, but yeah, most other times it was a stunt person
by my understanding, to handle all the physicality.
Brian Barry, $2.99, saying Tony Storm versus Bailey at SummerSlam. I think that'd be great, but I don't think they think Tony is.
Yeah, she'd be way out of nowhere.
But what I was gonna say though is, by contrast, you talked about the later, or you think about the later Friday the 13th movies, certainly the Nightmare on Elm Street films. That was always Kane Hodder. That was Jason. Every time you saw Jason, was Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder had a certain physicality about him, a certain way to carry himself. Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, the same thing. It was a really big deal that it was like consistent, the same person, because it wasn't just about Freddy speaking or seeing his face. You could tell from the body language, the movement. So that's why I say, yes, it is nerdy that we're talking about this. But when I think about it as just a purist, I think it would be kind of cheap and lessen the impact, so to speak, if tonight this was just 5 random schlubs and not the actual group.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this. I guess this is what WWE would really want to know. Are you more excited now for Monday's Raw to see if we get another glimpse of this group now, or are you checked out already?
I think my interest is who it is, and once we find out who it is, man, that's why I'm saying Lio Rush, Sami Zayn, Enzo. Those would be the best possible people, because the second we know who it is, if what they have to say is not Dylon spitting the hot fire, as it were, we're going to tune out and move on and just be done with it. Like, it's got to be. Like, you only get the mystery, and then once the mystery's gone, reality, it better be super interesting, or else we're over it.
What would be worse to you? We get the reveal, and it's underwhelming, kind of like what we're worried about, or we never get the reveal, just like we never got the hacker reveal. Which one would bother you more? I think
this is going to be part of the hacker. I have a feeling they would be even more idiotic than usual to not tie the hacker into this.
They're not going to do that.
Boy, you already had a guy in a black hoodie.
I know.
Mystery figure like this,
but they're not going to. They're going to miss that one. They're not going to do that.
That would be so, like, because then they look like geniuses.
And the hackers messing with other things. Yeah, I know. You're right, but they're not going to do that. Well, actually, do you think one of the people that was under the mask and hood tonight was Ali?
No, but that doesn't matter. The hacker doesn't have to be who the hacker actually was. And I don't even know that the hacker was actually who they intended it to be, but that's fine. Retcon it. Make the hacker part of this group. I think I have Bruce Pritchard's email somewhere. He was a guest on this podcast before. I'm going to send him an email.
I got his number. Do you want to call him right now?
You better be the hacker. Sure as hell. Do not do it on the spot. He'll be very upset. But everyone needs to tell Bruce Pritchard, the hacker, sure as hell had better be a part of Retribution. Like, that will make them look so much smarter than they are.
Yeah.
They will look like better storytellers. It will look like, see, we're paying off something big. This is huge. Steve Marcuccielli says Tessa Blanchard for Retribution. That'd be interesting. Don't think they're doing it.
Tessa Blanchard is not going to show up in WWE or NXT right now.
Michael or Rita, $2. You think AEW should sign Tessa?
She's not going to show up in AEW right now.
I think Tessa, you know what it is? Tessa's like the only female free agent right now. It's got like marquee value, you know?
She does, but I don't think we're going to see her right now. So
okay, so let's hit a news story. Then I got to go. Justin, I'm excited tonight. Let me tell you, my entire life, I've been one of those guys. What do you think a jar of pasta sauce should cost?
A jar of pasta sauce?
Yeah, like, I'm talking about this with my wife. When you buy the pasta sauce, right? Like, there's your bargain brands. There's like the Ragús and the Pregos and the,
$6.99, $7.99.
Well, big bucks LaBar over there. For me, I'm like,
to be fair, I'm not often the one that's going to the grocery store buying. It's my wife, so I don't know.
So Ragú's usually like $1.99, maybe $2. Now, if I want to go a little fancy, maybe I go Classico. It's got the kind of square jar. It looks a little fancier. That's like maybe a $4 jar. Maybe
I was really overshooting then. Where are you going?
So I'm excited because I bought like some $6 and $7 a jar pasta sauce, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna live the high life. I'm upgrading my pasta game, and that's what I'm gonna make for dinner. I've already got water on the stove. I just got to text the water's on.
You
the
haven't
stove.
had dinner yet? Oh, it's 8:22.
No, it's 8:22 here. So I'm excited.
So lucky. I'm the one. Matt and I. We have to. You and Raj on your. You guys. It's daylight out still when you're doing this. I forget you haven't had dinner yet.
I'm gonna try my fancy pasta sauce tonight, and it's gonna be hopefully it's gonna taste twice as good because it costs twice as much. I'm so excited about this. It's the little things, Justin. It's a little thing.
I thought there was actually a segue between the pasta sauce and the news stories. You said, "Let's do some news," and you have to get out of here. And then I realize
No.
you have to get out of here because you have to go cook pasta.
I had some pasta, and I got to find a movie to watch tonight. Watched a movie last night from 1978 called The Silent Partner with Elliot Gould and Christopher Plummer. It's a bank robbery film. I've been hearing for years. It's a fantastic movie. It's a little slow. It's a little violent at parts. We finally watched it last night. It was so good that now I'm already disappointed about the movie that I have to watch next. And I don't know what that movie's going to be. But you know what I mean? It's hard to follow up something that you really, really enjoyed. Speaking of which, though, I did go back and finish Focus based on your recommendation. And we stopped watching right before the scene with BD Wong. So I watch it. Scene with BD Wong is the best scene in the entire film.
It's tremendous. I told you, yeah.
But after that, everything after that was boring. And the twist at the end, like all that, like that just... like everything was a shadow of the BD Wong scene.
The racing stuff's not as cool, but it is nice when they do wrap it up when at the
Gerald
final.
McRaney showing up, like,
but yeah, the BD Wong, them doing the insane gambling and him leaving Margot Robbie's character in the dark with it is great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to spoil for everyone, but you really think I thought I was like, oh, they're really showing like the darkness of degenerate gamblers, and this is gonna be I complete swerve, didn't see it, like I was uncomfortable. I was like seriously like, this is just making me so just feel like just dirty kind of watching this guy implode.
And I can never, every time I hear sympathy for the devil now, it's
yeah. And then Super Chat Bear Hudson, $5. When do you see Tessa Blanchard making a return to AEW NXT main roster debut at SummerSlam? Man, does Tessa Blanchard know how much people love to, like, we get asked about Tessa Blanchard on this podcast probably more than any other performer.
I mean, she's polarizing, but Bear, to answer your question again, I do not think you're going to see Tessa Blanchard. I don't think you're going to see her in WWE, NXT, or AEW in 2020. So, but just that's I'll put it out there.
Okay, so the news. Let's hit the news because I got to get out of here.
Pasta sauce is waiting. All right, real quick. AEW, they had in the ratings war this past week. They won. They had the best show viewership wise that they've had during the pandemic. They did 901,000 viewers. That compared to NXT 753. AEW was ranked number 5, and then cable top 150. NXT came in ranked number 27. Of course, that all important 18 to 49 demo. Once again, AEW winning out there. They did 0.36 compared to NXT's 0.20. So this is some of the best numbers for AEW again since prior to COVID. So big for them. It's going to be interesting to see. Glenn and I think we talked a little bit Wednesday. We were talking off air. In a couple weeks, they're going to have 3 weeks where they are moved to Saturdays due to NBA programming on TNT. So that's definitely going to. There's no way around it. They're going to take some hit. We just don't know how much. Man,
NXT better capitalize on that, or they are gonna never regain ground. So on that note, before we leave, Jose Sorolla wants to know what's our favorite wrestling theme songs. We've talked about this a lot. I'll say for me, I think the Funkasaurus theme song is an underrated banger. That's the one I listen to the most. Somebody call my mama.
I don't know. I mean, DX's was so good.
Yeah, but I'm talking something you actually listen to.
Something I'd actually listen to. Triple H's My Time, when he first broke out as a singles, that was a really good, I think. Okay. I don't know. I enjoy that one.
I just think of the Max Landis parody from the Triple H Wrestling is a Wrestling video. I've got that on my phone, strangely. Okay. On that note, we'll be back here Monday night to talk about Raw Underground, the hottest property in all of professional wrestling. Until then, he's at Justin LaBar, Matt Glenn, Rubenstein. Catch you back here on the Wrestling Inc.